Right now on planet Earth, there is a war on frequency. The powers that be do not want you to raise your frequency and to become the sovereign creator of your life. That is what the attention economy is all about. In this video, I am going to give you some ways that you can instantly raise your frequency by releasing and letting go of certain things in your life. So in the books of Vladimir Megre, the Ringing Cedars books, Anastasia talks a lot about how to raise your frequency, how to have pure thoughts, how to have pure intentions and pure emotions before you move on your kin's domain. Now I can tell you that the process doesn't end there, but it's something that you can do already today on your way on your kin's domain. So why does it matter to raise your frequency? Does it matter? You know, what difference does it make in your life if you're in a high frequency or not? It makes all the difference. It's the experience of your life. It's what you have available to you according to your frequency. Everything in the universe vibrates, every cell in your body vibrates, every atom, every molecule, and it determines your reality. And that's why it's so important to work on your frequency. Not in an obsessive way, but in a constant way. Every day, do something, a little something, to raise to a higher key. And it will determine whether your goals come to fruition. And even, you know, a lot of us have in our lives had moments when we got what we wanted, but it didn't feel the way we thought it would feel. And that's also a matter of frequency. When you have a high frequency, not only do you just enjoy life in general because you have good feelings and happy thoughts, but you also get the higher key of the experiences and things that you're seeking. So today I'm gonna just lay out a little cycle that I know I was very trapped in when I lived in a city. And to be honest, that's one of the things that I realized, that these programs, it's not an outside power that keeps us down. How the system was built is that we got programmed, and it's an internal program that has us behave in a way that keep our frequency down. So we're actually the only thing standing between happiness, and that's because we have free will. We're sovereign beings, and yeah, the system created a very smart way to keep us in a low vibration. So here is the little cycle. So today I'm gonna talk about 3 things or areas of life where you can release and let go and stop doing something. And like a cork floating on an ocean, you will just pop, you know, your frequency will just automatically come up if you stop doing even one of the things that I'll be talking to you about in this video. So here is the cycle that I also was trapped in, and that living here on our kin's domain helped me break out of. When we're born, we from very young age, we're constantly bombarded by some kind of narrative about the reality that we live in. And TV and movies, music, even books, and now podcasts and social media, they're all there to tell us about the world that we live in and the reality that we exist in. And the cycle at this moment in humanity's history goes the following. You're constantly consuming the mostly negative input from these sources. Positive news are pretty hard to find. With social media, TV, movies, and music, you have more choice. But most of the times we're not exercising that choice. There's beautiful media out there that we can consume, but most of us aren't really that picky. We consume good stuff and bad stuff, and it's a mix, and the sum of its parts is usually pretty negative. A pretty negative outlook on where the world is going, where humanity is going, how we are as people, how we behave towards each other. It's not a pretty picture that we're being sold here. So we ingest all of that, and it doesn't feel great. So we want to purge it or numb it or whatever. We just don't want to feel this way. So we go and we sit down with a friend or a family member. Maybe we're at a restaurant. We have something caffeinated. Someone maybe smokes, has some alcohol, eats some junk food. And to top it all off, you have this conversation that usually starts with, let's talk about how awful the world is. Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about everything that's wrong in the world. Then we're going to go into our family and friends. What's wrong with them? How is this person not doing great at the moment? And finally, we get to ourselves. This is what's wrong with my life. This is how bad I'm feeling. And then your friend or friends also tell the story of how bad things are. And this is called friendship, it's called socializing. And then you go on your way home, you feel even worse now, trying to get rid of the worst feeling, but it's getting worse. Maybe you buy something, you go into your home and you realize you already have too much stuff. It's a cluttered, messy home. And then you start to berate yourself. You start to be hard on yourself. Why can't I do better? Why is my life so awful? I should know better. And to escape this barrage of negativity, you turn back on some sort of media to get your mind off things. Maybe you're on social media and then you start judging other people and feeling better about yourself through that. And then just the cycle just keeps going, you know? You're able to break out of this. You are. It was designed to be this way, so it's not your fault. But you have the power to opt out. What does that look like? What is your intention for your life? What are you creating? That's always where you have to start with, because that will determine the kind of media, for example, that you will from now on consume. If you're a reader of the books of the Ringing Cedars, then you know the beautiful vision that's there for humanity. Only consume movies, TV, music, podcasts, and social media that lifts you up, that paints you the picture of the world you want to live in, that paints a picture of humanity that you want to experience. Just stopping consuming anything negative that is in opposition of the world that you want to live in will make a huge difference in your life. And how I personally did it, I just stopped everything. I just stopped it all and I let it be for a while. And after I came back, it was easier to have discernment around the kind of sources that I would let into my mental diet, to be exact. And the next thing is, of course, like I said, the cigarettes, if you're still on that, the cigarettes or alcohol or drugs. But for example, caffeine. I had an experience, or caffeine or junk food, all those things bring us down. They help us to manage the reality that we live in, that we kind of have been programmed to live in through media and so. Because of course, when we see that from a very young age, then our creative power starts to align us with those kinds of people, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But let's get back to letting some of those substances go that help us to numb ourselves and to just deal with life, or to give us energy. So for me, I had done this work for a long time before we came on our Kinsterman, but there were still some things. Like I had my matcha. I love a matcha latte. And because, we don't go outside of our Kinsterman that much anymore. So in the city, of course, I could go to a cafe and have my matcha. So I started to make it at home. And that was last summer to the winter. And it would be my little ritual. I make my matcha every morning. But another thing is that I have been super sensitive to caffeine all my life, and I didn't really engage in it much. So this was the first time in my life that I was having caffeine every day. And I started to notice that it was not serving me. I mean, it was creating anxiety, jitters, just kind of easily frustrated, a short fuse, and also really impacting my natural energy cycles. And I didn't actually notice it until I stopped, because I had a 3-week crash of extreme, obviously my adrenals were shot by it. It just doesn't work for my body. Extreme tiredness, depression, really it's only because I knew that, okay, I gave this up now, I'm gonna have something. I didn't know how badly it had affected my being. And after those 3 weeks, I got my energy levels back, my life was flowing, and it was giving up this little kind of hit of dopamine, I guess you could say, caffeine in the morning, to have this more sustainable long-term energy in my life. And that's what most of these things, that if we give them up, we're giving up a momentary pleasure over sustained happiness. We just have to be patient with it. And the third thing, of course, will be around people, negative conversation, negative friendships, toxic relationships. Those things really keep our vibration down. And in the beginning, when you're working on raising up and shifting into a new level of being, maybe you have to take a little break from some of those old friendships or family relationships if you can. And then when you come back, you can direct the conversation a little bit more. You don't have to fall into the old patterns, but you will have had to make this shift of focusing on what's good in your life, what's good in the world, what inspires you, what empowers you. You can't speak that out in your relationships and with people until you actually live it and train your focus to be in what is working. Why is humanity beautiful? Why is there hope for the world? Once you start exercising that muscle and surrounding yourself with energy and information that supports that vibration, you can share it with other people. And the same with your home, eventually you'll start to realize, I don't need all this stuff. I can release this stuff and keep my home in beautiful order and keep it clean. And everybody knows that, a beautiful, organized, clean home, it helps you to stay in a high vibration. So really this process is about letting go of clutter in all areas of your life. And if you even pick one of these, even if it's something so simple as decluttering, cleaning your house in a very regular basis, or it's just releasing some negative relationships and shifting your mindset around them. If you stick with it, you'll see an incredible increase in your energy levels, in your positivity toward the world. I would, of course, say do all of these, but start somewhere. Start somewhere. Where's the least resistance to letting this thing go? Where are you ready to let go, make space, and allow your natural, high vibrational being to come to the surface? That's the energy that will create the shift in your world that you desire. So if you wanna know more about how to set an intention that will help you to focus your media consumption. You can see my video on co-creation, and next week I'll be talking about some actions and practices that you can do to support your frequency being high and staying in an amazing place. Have a beautiful day.